Good morning, Anne.
Good morning, James.
And good morning, everybody. As always, hopefully you are all having a wonderful weekend, a wonderful week, whenever it is that you are listening. Here we are again, Anne.
Yes.
Another Sunday Vibes podcast.
Don't they go quick?
They go very, very quickly. Are you happy to begin?
I am, yes.
Brilliant. Where shall we start this morning?
Something I was talking to somebody about this week.
Right, okay.
Just in general conversation.
Yes.
Sometimes things come up that open your minds. And I was talking about a few things with this gentleman that, because he's an interesting man and it has happened within our lives.
Okay.
And I was talking about going to Australia with my husband.
Right, okay.
Many years ago. So I'm not talking about in these times. So probably it was got to be over 20 years anyway, because he's not been here for 20 years.
The 1990s?
Yes.
Okay.
So maybe 80s even.
Maybe 80s, okay.
So we went to Australia on a tour. It was a tour, it was an escorted tour. And it was a small group of people. There were about 16 of us, that's all. It wasn't a big tour.
Yeah.
So it was a nice group of people who were interested in really the history of Australia, the Aborigines and everything else.
Aboriginals, yeah. Were they all from the UK, the people that you were on the tour with?
Yes, they were, yes.
Okay, yeah.
So we were taken to Alice Springs.
Right,
which has memories for me, Alice Springs, with the birds as well as everything else.
Right.
But Alice Springs is where they have the Telegraph School.
Okay.
And we were taken to the Telegraph School.
The Telegraph School,
yes.
Okay.
And I didn't know what this was. I thought,
No.
it was something to do with telegraphs, obviously.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you.
So when we got there, what it is, it's the centre where the Aborigines were taken to.
Okay.
When, to these places when they were taken away from the parents.
Right, okay.
So it was the homes, really, that they were put into.
Okay.
So, but in this same area, there was a school.
Right.
But the Telegraph School now, why they say Telegraph School is because the children are taught all over Australia because of the size of Australia.
Yeah.
Which you can't imagine unless you go there.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's
and that's
huge.
An understatement. Yeah.
So you've got children in isolated places that will not see other children.
Yeah, I understand.
And no schools, nothing for them.
Yeah, nothing for hundreds of miles sometimes.
Hundreds of miles.
Yeah.
So no communication with anybody.
Yeah.
So we were taken into this building, which was the school with no children. I'm thinking, what are we doing here with no children in this school?
Okay.
Anyway, we all stood and we had to stand behind a glass window.
Yeah.
Where this teacher was in a room that looked like a schoolroom. Like you would have a schoolroom with pictures on the wall and things like that. And homework on the wall. And we're all thinking, what's happening here? Then, while we stood waiting, all of a sudden she said, "Good morning, children." And then immediately it was, all these children had, "Good morning, Miss So-and-so."
Right.
From nowhere.
From nowhere.
And it wasn't as sophisticated as now, of course, with our AI and things that we have now. And these children were all in these isolated farms and this land and couldn't get any schooling anywhere else. And then she started the lessons.
So were the children there?
The children were literally there, and she could see them on a screen, like a television screen.
Right. So the children were at home?
The children are all, this is the reason I'm saying it, the children were in their own homes.
Right, now I understand.
Yeah,
okay.
So she's...
So it's like an online lesson?
Different, completely in a way, different, because the children are participating.
Yeah.
They're actually learning at a desk.
Yeah.
And this is how the conversation started with this person, is that these children have a room that they go into.
Yeah.
And we started this because of working from home. That's how the conversation started.
Yeah.
And what I was saying to him was that these children in the outback have to have a room in their houses that is the school.
Right. Okay.
Nothing else is allowed in this one room.
Okay.
They're not taught unless they have one room that they go into.
So each farmhouse in the outback has a specific schoolroom for the children.
And it might be a shed outside.
Yeah.
But it's a schoolroom.
Yeah.
The children put school uniform on.
Right.
in the morning
Yeah.
and go into this school.
Okay.
And then when they're sat with the teacher on their screen,
yeah.
and the teacher is teaching them in their own rooms.
Right, okay.
A courier picks up their homework
Yeah.
every night,
Okay.
takes it to the teacher who, marks it,
Yeah.
and then it's taken back the next day.
Yeah.
So their homework is discussed as well.
Yeah. Well, it will all be online now, won't it?
It will, which will be sad.
Yeah.
This is where I was getting to,
Yeah.
which will be sad. So at this time, this is what was happening. Every couple of months, all these children would be brought to a central point.
Yeah.
Where they could mix with other children.
Yeah. Yeah.
And get to know other children and play with other children.
Yeah.
So what this stirred in me was this was happening there, and the children were very, very disciplined.
Yeah.
But then it brought us both to working from home here.
Right.
That what's happening here is people are working from home.
Yeah.
And disrupting whole households.
By being there. Yeah.
And so many wives will be discontented with husbands.
And husbands with wives as well.
And husbands with wives working at home.
Yeah.
Because it interferes with your routine.
Yeah.
Because this is the way nature is. We all have our own routines in home life and in families.
Yes.
So what we were talking about was, unless you have, which was a very good idea with them, a specific room that is only to work from,
right,
and you're going to work in your own house,
yeah,
it can't really work.
I understand, okay. Yeah, the lines become too blurred.
Yes.
I find this myself. I always don't like bringing work home to the physical building, the physical home. The same with exercise or anything else that is specific in terms of an activity. I much prefer, in terms of a mindset, to be in the appropriate environment. I feel much more motivated to do that. So whether it's work or homework or whatever it may have been or still is, I prefer to be in the environment where it's conducive to and for. I prefer to go somewhere to exercise rather than exercise at home, for instance.
Yes, me too.
Home is a place of rest, recuperation, relaxation, a space that is like a sanctuary.
Yes.
And if you bring your outside world too much into it, it can mean that you get no rest, physical, mental, emotional rest. I think that's what's happening as well. People don't have anywhere that they can truly just breathe and relax. If they work from home and their family's at home, everything's colliding together in their mind, if nowhere else. And then if they are doing a home workout or whatever it might be as well, everything is too claustrophobic, isn't it? It's too much activity.
It's mindset, isn't it, which started us off talking about mindset.
Yes.
So the mindset is, even if you're working from home,
yeah,
if you are fortunate enough, and I know everybody doesn't have this, to have a spare room that can be designated as your workspace.
An office almost.
An office.
Yeah.
And you go into that office in the morning and you don't come out.
Yeah.
Until lunchtime.
So you discipline yourself
yes.
to act and live as if you were at work.
Yes.
A true place of work. Yeah.
And you put the same amount of effort into that.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm talking about myself now, if I was working from home and I was working on a computer, I might sit at the coffee table, I might sit at the dining room table, I might go into the conservatory and work from there.
Yeah.
So I'm not in the correct work position for a start for working.
Yeah.
So that's not good for people.
No.
It's not good for the backs, it's not good for the muscles, because they're not sat at a desk and they're not disciplined.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whoever else is in the house has got to pussyfoot around as well and be quiet.
Yeah.
Because if they're on a phone to a colleague, it's the same with anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we were talking about it and thinking about it. So the other thing is that with something like this is production going to be less?
Productivity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is what business and companies are finding, particularly with office-based work, is the productivity is less with people working at home. I don't know that as a fact. I've heard it discussed and debated, on the radio, and I've read about it in newspapers and such. My feeling is that more businesses are encouraging people to return to the office.
Yes.
Because productivity is higher. And it also brings that work culture, that office culture. I mean, I think it's better, generally speaking, for people to be mixing. People talk about those water cooler moments where you can have those meet cues and work discussions and develop a social life as well.
Yes.
Lots of people are single because they're not meeting anybody, or people are not part of friendship groups because they're not meeting anybody. And life used to bring people together, and work was a huge pillar of that. It was a huge pillar of the community, of any community, any type of work in theory and in practice. It used to bring people together, and you'd meet your friends, and therefore you may meet your lover, your partner, your future spouse.
Lots of people did.
And families would therefore socialise together after this, and work was something that people shared in common. The place of work as well, and social clubs related to it, social activities, the whole network that comes from it. By working from home, you aren't mixing with anybody else, or very little are you mixing with anybody else, and or it's online. So you're not having that human engagement, that face-to-face kinesthetic feel. I think it's more human and better for the human health to be around other humans, not completely all the time. And people have different personalities.
Yes.
I like my own space. I like to socialise, but I definitely like my own space. I don't like to be around people all of the time. And if I am, I only like to be around people for a certain amount of time. Nothing to do with other people, just myself. I like my own space. So I understand that. I completely understand that. But I much prefer working at a place of work with other people.
You can have a laugh.
Yeah,
How can
absolutely.
you have a laugh on your own? You can't, can you?
No, it's
that part of it.
Yeah, it's almost like you're on remand or something, sort of like a home prison. And I feel that lots of people, in the short term, love the idea of working at home. They think, oh, great, I can work at home in my pyjamas. I can put the washing on, watch a bit of telly during my lunch, make myself a coffee whenever I want. Brilliant. But then in the medium long term, I do feel people are becoming more and more depressed and are missing that social engagement and that work culture and that productivity, both in terms of the actual work, but also in terms of mood. Feeling productive, feeling a part of something, feeling a sense of belonging, feeling a sense of worth. It's very important, very, very important for physical, mental, emotional health. And I do think that is being recognised. Another thing that I find really interesting, and I was listening to the radio the other day, and I actually read an article about it, is for the first time, I think in a long time, something like 100 years now, I may not be absolutely correct in terms of the specifics and details here. So I'll caveat it with, look into it yourself. But human IQ is actually regressing now for the first time in a long time. Something like 100 years, give or take.
Surprised.
I'm not absolutely sure in terms of the actual time frame. But the general arc of what I'm saying is that human IQ is regressing. And one of the major factors that the people who have looked into it have deduced and theorised is that it's definitely in correlation with the rise of technology and the rise of smart technology. Maybe not exclusively, and there are many factors here, but definitely in terms of a correlation between particularly smartphones and handheld devices and social media and people reading less and less. Reading books, reading newspapers, and having conversations, longer form conversations, and people's vocabulary is becoming stunted, and people's thought processes are becoming stunted, and people's ability to think in abstract and metaphoric ways, and to be able to problem solve and to be analytical, people's memory, so that the real cognitive function of a human being and comprehension, the whole myriad of human thinking is sliding backwards.
You can't articulate, can you? You can't, unless you speak to people. How can you articulate? You can't. It's an impossibility.
It's an art form. Conversation's an art form, isn't it?
Yes, even
so to speak.
Yes, even walking to work, travelling to work, or walking to work, or walking your dog.
Yeah.
You used to talk to people.
Yeah.
You go past, say, how's she doing? That's the dog.
Yeah.
Not the person. You were always more interested in the dog than the person.
Yeah, I always do that. I'm always saying hello to the dog first. Yeah. Sometimes I don't even know the person's name. I'm like, oh, hiya, Rosie, hiya. Yeah.
But you always remember the dog's name.
Yeah. And they come over wagging their tail.
And to be honest, how wonderful is that? But now, what I'm finding is, if anybody is walking a dog now, the people even walking the dogs have got earphones in.
Yeah.
And they say, well, we're listening to music. Why is somebody listening to music when they're walking their dog, or a child, or a child in a trolley? Why aren't you speaking to the dog or the child?
Yeah.
This is where articulation is going, because nobody is articulating.
So from a child's perspective, nobody's talking to them.
Nobody's talking, so they can't see. We learn to speak by the shape of the lips and the way we speak. We do far more lip reading than people think.
Yes, yeah.
Because with hearing, people think we hear through the ears, but we do hear through bone conduction.
Right, wow. Okay.
And lots of people don't know that. So the children learn.
So the vibrations of the bones, the facial bones. Wow.
So this can make people understand that words are vibration.
They are, yes.
They're not actually
sound,
words,
literal sound. Literal sound, yeah.
And I find this sort of thing fascinating.
It is fascinating.
So that child isn't picking up that vibration, because that child's learning, its brain's developing.
Yeah.
How can it pick up vibration if nobody's giving it those vibrations?
That's a good point.
If all they're doing is sticking in front of them a Peppa Pig.
Yeah.
Not even a literal Peppa Pig. I mean Peppa Pig on a phone.
Yeah.
It's getting the.
It's hardly stimulating, is it?
Well, you can't see any movement of words with Peppa Pig.
Yeah.
It can, the
it's
words are going.
Isn't it?
Well, if you've not got, if somebody's just making sounds, it's not music, is it?
No.
You have to make the music, so we have to make the sounds with our voices as well.
Absolutely.
And that's what I find hard these days, is that nobody is listening, because to be able to articulate, you've got to be able to listen.
That's a really good point. How many people are waiting for their turn to speak rather than absorbing in the moment what's being said and real time adapting what we think and say?
Exactly.
Because that's a different type of conversation. That's a different type of articulation. It's stunted in a way, because like what we're doing this morning.
Yes.
We don't know what we're going to say, so we are thinking as we speak.
Yes.
And it can go in any direction, and often it does, especially with you, Anne. Curveballs left, right and centre, which is fantastic and genuinely authentic. And I hope that comes across to you all listening this morning, as with all the other podcasts. We don't have a plan or script, other than most of the time your initial idea or whatever it is that you've been thinking about. Sometimes it's something I've been thinking about or wanting to ask you or share. But other than that starting swing, we don't know where it's going to go.
We've no idea.
And it's fascinating.
Yeah. So
I hope so anyway. I hope that is fascinating.
It is. So as you're speaking now to me, you're just...
Your mind is whirling.
Those few words, my mind is thinking of other things. So as you bring up a point of this articulation, then it throws my mind back to this is what's happening with teenagers in schools, that they're being taught at or on a screen instead of a teacher standing in front of a classroom.
I understand, yeah.
is that why they're getting bored? Because you haven't got a teacher who stood there who's animated with the hands and the talking, and maybe that is a problem as well.
It's definitely a part of it. The school system that we have in the United Kingdom is predicated on a Victorian system of the factories and the workhouses predominantly, to get mass amounts of children together and teach them en masse, which I suppose is not the same, but is similar to your Telegraph schools.
Yes.
Very, very different way of doing things, but it was an attempt to deal with a situation of people working en masse and living en masse, to teach them en masse. So these industrial education, essentially, to match industrial industry. And therefore it followed that factory feel. Narrow, long corridors, lots of rooms, bells to signal the start and end of day, breaks started and ended with a bell. So essentially it's an education factory.
Yes.
And it hasn't changed since then. It hasn't really changed fundamentally. What's happening around the periphery, and it's seeping into it, is a technocentric pedagogy, really, or at least application. I don't know if it's deep enough to be a pedagogy. It's certainly an application about more and more technology and the using more and more technology into the classrooms and into how people think and into the language. But a completely revolutionary way of looking at education could be anything else. People are so boxed in, quite literally. People live in boxes, people work in boxes, people are educated in boxes. People pick up boxes, square phones, rectangle phones, square televisions, rectangle televisions, box, 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 box. And people think in boxes, which sometimes is really useful. And sometimes is really great for moving things, because you can put it in a box and you can pick it up and move it. And that's brilliant. So given a situation, boxes, fantastic. But they can be extremely limiting and a hindrance and a problem, and actually hold people back. And our education system is too boxed. And the nature of the human being rebels against that, which is why so many children push back against it, particularly once they get to the bigger school, they get to high school, because that's when it really leaps up from the vast majority of children are in medium to small primary schools.
Yes.
With maybe only 1 year intake, 30 students maximum, so it could be anywhere down to 12. 6 students, pupils in a class. You may only be in a year 6 class of 15 pupils, maybe, in a lot of village schools.
And that's wonderful if you only got that amount.
And you can get a lot more engagement one-to-one. The teacher really knows you, and it's not overwhelming. It's immersive in a different way.
Yes.
It's much more bespoke. It's much more personal. Relationships are much more rich and deep with your classmates and your teacher and the school network.
It could even be mixed ages in one class.
And in some schools, more remote schools, I would imagine, in the United Kingdom, village schools or island schools, some of the Scottish Isles or some of the Welsh villages, I would imagine this is still happening. But you go to a school where it's thousands, or over 1,000 pupils, where you've got hundreds of students in your year group. It could be 6, 7, 8 form intake, which is an enormous amount of students. You're mixing with students that are, as you go into the school, teenagers.
Yes.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Some of the 16-year-old boys and girls, they look like giants to a little Timmy or whoever it might be.
It's very scary.
With the rucksack on in year 7. So it's such a shock to the system in every single way. And nobody seems to be doing anything about it in a way that's actually making things better. People nudge things around the outside, and what's always prioritised is results. Results.
Yes.
Which I understand to a point, but is that really the most important thing? Is it really? And are we really going to have a mature discussion as a people, as a society, about what is most important for children? And is it really results? And is it really the teacher's primary function and purpose to deliver high results? Is that really the number one prerequisite for a teacher? Is that really what's most important for parents? based on the current system, you would think it definitely is. But is it really based on how we actually feel, how children feel, how parents feel, how teachers feel? Because I can tell you, speaking to the vast majority of students and the vast majority of good, kind, well-meaning teachers, that's not what they think is most important. And kind, considerate, honest parents, that's not what is most important to them. It is important, but it's not what's most important. So a reevaluation and a new conversation about real change needs to be struck up and explored. And to do that within education, we need courage, and we need visionaries and pioneers of thought to be able to shape a different way of doing things. Because we are stuck in boxes. It's factory education. It's industrial education. And
the vast health service and everything
absolutely, that is exactly the point.
Yes.
In the short term, it was a huge relief, I imagine. Now, I'm speculating. You've lived through it, literally, and you've spoken about it brilliantly. And maybe we can discuss this in terms of education and health in podcasts to come.
Yes.
But the NHS, in its inception and birth, must have been celebrated, and it's such a wonderful human feat of social change because there was nothing else in place. But in a sense, it was still industrial healthcare.
Yes.
And is that the best way of doing things moving forward? Having healthcare for everybody as a principle is not the same as saying it has to be done on an industrial scale, huge hospitals, everything centralised.
It wasn't done like that then, though, because it was cottage hospitals.
Well, you know infinitely more about it than I do in terms of lived experience. I've been watching Call The Midwife. And Call The Midwife in the most recent series, I will not give you any spoilers. I love Call The Midwife. It may be a bit of a guilty pleasure in terms of, to admit that, but I absolutely love Call The Midwife, and I've watched all the series. I think it's brilliant. I think it's fantastic as a TV programme. But what's really interesting, Nonata's house, where the nuns and the midwives co-inhabit, so that it's a religious organisation as well as a medical facility, and it's small scale. It's like a cottage maternity home and for young mothers, for mothers of any age, to be honest with you, and for giving birth.
Well, but as they go out to the homes.
Thank you.
It's home births, yes.
So it's the outreach programme, community nursing. So the NHS is coming in, but it's also meaning that faith-based places of care and medical attention, like Nonata's house in Call The Midwife, is being ordered to shut. That's where I'm up to with the series.
That's right.
Which makes me think. It makes me think deeply about the right idea may be done in a way that in the long term hasn't been the most beneficial.
Yes.
But please do not read that I am not passionate about everybody having access to education and health. I most definitely am. But that does not mean I think it is sacrosanct. Sacrosanct? That's how you say it, don't you? Untouchable, in a holy way. Yeah. Sacrosanct. And we can't address it again and ask the most basic of questions about whether it should be in place in the first place. And if it is, how do we do it? And how can we match it up to how we feel and where we would like to go with it? Deep and searching questions for podcasts in the weeks and months to come, Anne.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Because as you say, I have lived through it. I have lived through the
You have.
Matron.
You have, yes.
Yeah. I have been to school in the old system.
The Raggedy School.
Yeah, I went to the Ragged School.
The Ragged School, yeah.
That's for the poor children, that's it. But I still went to the Ragged School.
Yeah. I didn't mean it like that. I just remember you talking about it.
Oh no, I'm quite proud of where I've come from, to what I've achieved.
And so you should be. And so you should be.
Yes, and I'm proud of my parents, what they achieved. But then when I say those words, we had the opportunities to achieve.
Well, there you go, opportunity.
Because maybe what happened is, as you've been talking then, it makes me realise is that when you're at ground level, you can only go up.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere. There's nowhere else you can go. You're there, you're on the ground.
Yeah.
And I've been on ground level and go up.
Yeah.
But what's happening now is humans are expecting to go in. No child ever says, I'm going into a factory and I'm going to, sweep up.
Right.
If they're going into an office,
yeah.
they're going to be secretaries.
Right.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong in wanting to achieve, but children are not wanting to just be firemen. Firemen are below them now. Nurses. You don't see little girls in nurses' uniforms anymore. You don't see little boys running around the streets in firemen's outfits.
No, you don't.
Every Christmas you would see children outside with those uniforms on. Yeah. Policemen. I'm a policeman, but proud.
Yeah.
Do you ever hear anybody
public
be proud
service
of
heroes?
Being? People are not proud of being in children don't aim to be in public service anymore. Or service.
Yeah.
The word service is a dirty word.
That's so interesting. We've opened up many avenues. Potentially, yes. I think we've opened up a fantastic opportunity to explore this topic and many others that are conjoined to it.
Yes.
So a conversation that has gone in many directions all at once.
Yeah.
And quite often they are the best conversations. So more questions than answers this morning, I suppose. Yes. And it all started with you sharing your thoughts and reflections on a wonderful conversation that you had with a gentleman.
Yes.
So one conversation feeds another one. And you all listening this morning may have conversations on the back of listening to us that will go in their own directions. And isn't that wonderful?
It is wonderful. And if it stirs memories for somebody,
Absolutely.
How beautiful is that? Is somebody stirs your memory. This gentleman this morning stirred my memories. I stirred his memories.
Absolutely. Human connection, human relationship, human life, human story, meaning.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, you have a recommendation from me. If you haven't had the joy of watching Call The Midwife, go back to the first series. I think it goes back all the way to the Second World War starting, or just before that, all the way up to the 1970s now. It's a brilliant programme. And another recommendation, no, I'll tell you what, I'll save that for next week, so you are on the edge of your seat and return to listen again. Brilliant. Okay, I think that's it this morning, Anne.
Yes. Bye, everybody.
Have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful week whenever you are listening. And as always, we look forward to being with you again and speaking with you again next Sunday morning. Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.